What's up, a cinemashogun here, and the other day I reported to you all about a guy by the name of John Barnett, the Boeing whistleblower, who's basically been exposing the real reason as to why all of these planes are like falling apart, malfunctioning, crashing, pieces of the airplanes blowing off mid-flight. Hell, just yesterday we had a crazy situation dealing with a Boeing airplane, and today, just, about 8 or so hours before this recording, a panel literally blew off of a Boeing airplane mid-flight. So it's like every single day, we're seeing news stories about how these airplanes are basically falling apart. It's some really dangerous stuff. And this guy, John Barnett, has been exposing stuff for a minute, but he was just found dead in a hotel parking lot. Now, he had been in court exposing some things prior. He was literally out of town in the process of exposing Boeing. He was scheduled to show up in court again, but he was found dead in his hotel parking lot. They're claiming it was self-inflicted, that he took himself out. But, looking at the situation, considering the fact that this guy was really passionate about exposing Boeing, considering the fact that he was in the process of exposing Boeing, and he just mysteriously is found dead in a hotel parking lot, that obviously looked odd. And my first thought was that they Epsteined this guy. It obviously looks like he was Epsteined. You know what I mean? But you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. You don't want to be too far out there. But in my mind, it just wouldn't make sense. If this guy wanted to end himself, I don't think he would be even going through the process of exposing Boeing. Why would he do it in a hotel parking lot while out of town, dealing with a court case in which he's exposing this company? No, that doesn't make sense. What makes more sense is that someone powerful at this company who makes millions upon millions of dollars, if not billions, it makes sense as to why they would want to get rid of this whistleblower. Because the stuff he was revealing was some crazy stuff that would make you never ever want to fly in an airplane again. But, I was looking at the story. It obviously seemed crazy. But then again, it seems like everything seems crazy these days. And I don't want to reach too much, but it just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Well, more details have come out now. And it turns out that this guy had recently just had a conversation with one of his best friends. And his best friends asked him, hey, are you scared? Because you're exposing this huge company. Who knows what could happen to you? Are you scared? And he told her no. But, if something happens to me, just know I would never do anything to myself. Never believe it. If something happens to me and it comes out and they say that I ended myself, do not believe them. So, literally days before this guy is found dead in a hotel parking lot, he has this conversation with one of his good friends. So now, an already mysterious story, an already fishy, sus story, is looking even crazier. But instead of hearing it from my mouth, let's listen. Let's roll this news clip. We're going to listen to what his friend has to say. You let me know what you think of it as you're listening. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, and then after this clip, I'll be right back with some more thoughts.
First, tonight, our investigative reporter Ann Emerson has new information in the death of Boeing whistleblower John Barnett. A close family friend of Barnett says he predicted he might wind up dead, that a story could surface that he killed himself. But he told her, don't believe it. Ann?
Tessa, Barnett's family friend Jennifer said they had talked about this exact scenario playing out, but his words seemed like a premonition. He told her, don't ever believe it.
I knew John because his mom and my mom are best friends. And so over the years, get-togethers, birthdays, celebrations, and, whatnot, we've all got together and talked. And, That's how we really know each other.
And when Jennifer needed help one day, Barnett came by to see her. They talked about his upcoming depositions in Charleston. Jennifer knew he filed an extremely damaging complaint against Boeing. He says the aerospace giant retaliated against him when he blew the whistle on unsafe practices. For more than 30 years, Barnett was a quality manager. He'd recently retired and moved back to look after his mom in Louisiana.
He wasn't concerned about safety because I asked him, I said, aren't you scared? And he said, and his voice and the way he would talk, no, I ain't scared. He said, but if anything happens to me, it's not, I know that he did not commit. There's no way. He loved life too much. He loved his family too much. He loved his brothers too much to put them through what they're going through right now.
And he basically told you not to believe it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Not true. He's got too much to do, likes breathing. And he did. He had a lot of plans of things that he wanted to do.
What do you think happened?
I think somebody got in there and made, money can buy anything nowadays, it seems like. And there's a lot of evil in this world. I think somebody didn't like what he had to say and wanted to shut him up and didn't want it to come back on anyone. So that's why they made it look like.
The last time she saw Barnett, it was at her father's funeral in late February. He was one of the pallbearers. Sometimes family and friends referred to him by his middle name, Mitch.
I think everybody is in disbelief and can't believe it. And I told everybody that I don't care what they say. I know that Mitch didn't do that.
And just because Mitch Barnett is dead doesn't mean this case won't move forward. His attorneys say they're still prepared to go to trial in June.
As crazy as this sounds, it sounds crazy that this big company that deals with airplanes would literally hire a hitman or something and knock some guy off because he's exposing them. But there's millions, honestly, billions of dollars at play here. And money talks. And, I'm often disappointed by people who they'll see things like this, they'll hear things like this, they automatically think it's a conspiracy. I'm disappointed by those people because we have so many examples of stuff like this happening throughout history, but I try to be positive. Inside, I want to believe that it's the good in people. It's the good in people that makes it hard for them to believe that this wicked type of evil stuff is going on behind the scenes, right? People that they're good, you're a good-hearted person, and it's just hard for you to believe that this type of evil exists. That evil exists on such a high level, on an organized level, on a level that will be capable of wiping people off of the map and making it look like they ended themselves. But this is something that has happened to whistleblowers, to snitches, if you will. This is something that's happened to powerful people throughout history. I believe this happened to Epstein. I think this guy kind of got Epstein. I don't feel like this guy took himself out. I feel like if someone wanted to do that, they would have done that. They wouldn't involve themselves in something big and important. They wouldn't go to a hotel out of town while in the middle of handling a court case. You know what I mean? So much about this is wrong. Even without hearing from the friend, I didn't need to hear from the friend to know that this wasn't adding up. But like I said, for some people, it will be hard for them to see because they don't want to believe that this level of evil exists. But boy, oh boy, this level of evil exists. And it's way worse than you can imagine. It's way worse than anything we're talking about now. But after hearing what the friend has to say, it's one of those things where, this already looks suspect. This already looks fishy. I don't believe that he ended himself. But then you hear the friend deliver that tidbit of information, and that's when it really hits you. it really hits you. And that's when you really, you start to think like, wait, not only does this look fishy, this is fishy. And what are the odds that just a few days ago, this guy was warning one of his best friends, hey, if something happens to me, I didn't do it. And how many times do we have to hear stories like this before we start questioning the people involved? Because here's what happens every time a story like this comes out. Instead of people going at Boeing, instead of people questioning Boeing, instead of people questioning the parties involved, they'll question people like me and people like you for spreading this story and asking questions, right? They'll dig all into our comments. They'll try to tear us apart. They'll try to see whatever holes they can poke in our narratives. They'll do whatever they can to examine us and what we have to say about these situations, but they don't show that same energy to Boeing. Why are you not questioning them? We're not accused of killing this guy. You know what I mean? But that's how these stories play out. It's like the vast amount, like the general public, they rather persecute you and they rather condemn you for comments that you make. They rather look down upon you for questioning things. They'll question you for questioning things instead of questioning the things that need to be questioned, if you will. And if you look at this story and you know what this guy was involved in and what he was in the middle of exposing, him popping up dead should automatically be a huge red flag that sends off alarm bells in your head. But for so many people, like I said earlier, it's like they can't even fathom, they can't even imagine that stuff like this happens. But stuff like this happens way more than you would think. And there's examples of it all over the place. Every few months, maybe not every few months, but a few times a year, we look into stories like this where stuff like this happens. And it's like the stories always blow over. The next thing you know, you'll hop on an airplane. You won't question the fact that all of these airplanes are falling apart in the midair. You won't question the fact that the guy who's exposing why they're falling apart was mysteriously found dead. And everybody goes about their life and, everything just goes back to whatever normal is these days. But with all of that being said, I'm sure more will come out about this. I'm actually surprised to see them talking about this on the news. Usually this is stuff that we have to talk about and bring up, but they're even kind of openly talking about it on the news. So that just shows you the level of weird this story is, that even the mainstream media is kind of having a hard time ignoring it. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via CashApp, or for free, you can help the channel by liking and subscribing. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.